Hello, everyone. This is Stefan Lutz. I have the privilege and honor to be presenting this topic today to you, although virtually. I am working with World Renew here in Kenya for the last 20 years, and I'm an agroecologist from profession and passion. And my topic today will be on conservation agriculture adoption in Kenya, and I will talk about the lessons from the field and the network, maybe from the last 5 to 10 years, and especially some lessons that I've also learned recently in the last 2 years during this COVID pandemic time. So thank you for joining me for today. Conservation agriculture, as we all know, and this is a statement from FAO back in 2015, is an approach to managing agroecosystems for improved and sustained productivity, increased profits and food security, while preserving and enhancing the resource base and the environment. I think the beauty and the potential that I have seen in the last 10 years of working with conservation agriculture is that part about preserving and enhancing the resource base. Of course, the productivity is great and the economic benefits are always good. But this is an approach that I believe balances both and even improves the environment and the soil structure and fertility. So there's a lot of potential here. And I also like the fact that it can be used in areas where other crops cannot be grown, but there is a limit to it as well. This is an area in Naivasha, close to Nairobi, about 5 years ago. A farmer was trying some CA out, and you can see the methodology used. CA principles and practices, as we all know, one is to minimize tillage. So we want to limit the soil disruption that we're going to have. The second one is to maximize soil cover. So you want to always keep it covered as well. And the third one is a crop association and rotation. I think we all know this, so it's a reminder of what CA is. Here's another field north of Nairobi in an area called Muranga, where we worked on a CFGB program for 3 years, and you could see the maize stalks being left in the field as a soil cover. This plot was not tilled, as far as I'm aware, and I did very well, if I remember going back there. So the lessons so far that I've learned in terms of CA, which I have presented in the last ECHO meeting, so this is nothing new. There is some new material that I will share with you, but we feel that CA plots are most likely to produce some harvest, especially in erratic rainfall seasons, compared to traditional planted plots. So this is the added advantage that CA has, that we're seeing that when there is a bad season in an area in Kenya, we see that the CA plots do better than the other ones that have more traditional planted, where there's tilling, where there's no soil cover and no intercropping as well. We also saw that CA plots produce better yield and quality of crops, especially noticeable in potatoes. But now we're seeing also in other crops, not just potatoes, but we did quite a bit of potatoes here in the Muru area when we started introducing CA through our Anglican Development Service Mount Kenya partner that World Renew partners with. And these potatoes fetch a better price on the market and therefore also higher income. We also realize that CA saves time, and farmers are able to use that time to do other things like raise animals, do value addition, or even go for a temporary job. So we're seeing that CA has advantages in terms of saving time. And farmers that we talked back then, even when we started, said that we have more time to not just raise animals, but also go for other jobs to give us additional income. And this is something that they didn't have before. We also realized that CA uses local resources and is in general profitable when combined with some form of irrigation or not, attracting youth back into farming. This was another area that we worked in near Thika, also close to Nairobi, And we found out that young farmers who were using CA and irrigation were making quite a bit of profit by selling vegetables to Nairobi. That was a very successful program, and we're still hoping to scale that up to other areas as well, where it makes sense. Also, when used with green manure cover crop systems, like Lablab, in Kenya especially, and in central Kenya especially, CA can provide sufficient ground cover and gradually improve soil fertility and structure over time. So this, the green manure system, together with CA, works really well. And as we will find out later, we don't always have enough of the biomass material to cover the soil. So introducing green manures is a very good idea. There are some challenges there too, but overall we've had some good experiences with that. We also realized that farmer exposure visits and practical on-farm trainings have been important components in promoting adoption of CA. So very practical trainings, not just sitting in classrooms and listening to somebody talk, but going out there and step-by-step being introduced to the CA methodology. Farming God's Way is another way, CA way that was being introduced. So you can see some photo of that in the bottom. And this is the potato farmer on the top left, who one of the potato farmers we worked doing CA. He was very excited in the method of the CA and the quality that he got from that crop. It's good to mention also some obstacles, some adoption obstacles that we have encountered in the last 10 years. And adopting CA requires a behavior change, especially not tilling the soil and keeping ground covered all the time. So we're dealing with inside work. And, so even though we have all the technical know-how and know that it works, there are cultural limitations and the way that farmers used to do things, and now telling them to do or encouraging them to do new things is not always easy, and I guess very human. Mulch material needed for the CA is a limiting factor in expanding CA plots. The mulch also often competes with animal feed in especially drier agro-pastoralist areas. So mulch material is very much limiting, as I mentioned earlier, and that's where green manures play a potential role, a key role. Doesn't mean it works everywhere, but figuring out which of the green manure also is very important in which agroecological zone you want to plant your crops. There's a lack of overall technical CA support available for expanding CA work in Kenya. I would say this is improving, but there is still overall a lack of support, especially in getting enough of the CA equipment for the small farmer, and also for the medium and large farmer. But I know that that is getting better and better. I hear stories from the network. So in general, I can say that conservation agriculture can contribute positively to productivity and adaptation resilience objectives that we have. Although the degree of success, this is very important to notice, the degree of success varies considerably by farm, household, and regional characteristics. There's no blueprint that this will work everywhere, and like I said in the last conference, not only CA, but agriculture is an art. So we need to be artists to find out what works and what works best, and there is no one methodology that will work across the board, because we're working with a very complex environment and soils and cultures, and it just doesn't do it that way. CA, if adopted widely, has the potential to help build resilience in smallholder farming systems. I think this is where we, as a network, and us working with ECHO and others in agricultural development, we feel that CA has definitely a lot of potential, and I'm glad that there's other speakers that are talking about CA to also talk about this potential, not just in Kenya and adoption rates, but in other factors. Several other factors might influence CA adoption. Farmers may be reluctant to adopt CA due to a lack of technical know-how, or due to culture and traditions, or both. Limited linkages to output and input markets, drudgery of some technologies, need to address weed infestation under CA, improve market access conditions, and find ways to get youthful farmers engaged in CA. CA can be a more climate smart, and its uptake can be enhanced by reframing, better targeting, adapting CA to local specific economic and biophysical, and through greater and more effective public spending in agricultural research and development. This came from a very recent article from Frontiers in Agronomy. So I thought this was really good information, updated information for us to understand. Now, going to World Renew and our work here in Kenya. In our World Renew programs in Kenya during the last few years, we have noticed that quicker and impacting CA and other community development activities adoption rates are closely linked with these 4 factors. So this is something I've been thinking about for a long time, but this is something I want to share with you all, and I feel they really make a big difference in our programming, and I hope that you find them useful. So number 1 factor I've always believed in quite strongly, and I've seen this in my 20 years of working with community development, is that a mature community with strong leadership and vision that is ready to own their own development and even contribute in-kind resources like labor and time and others towards the success of the program and project. This is a very key factor. Wherever we find a community that already has leadership or is growing in leadership and ownership, and they feel that the projects that we do with them are theirs, and they contribute, and they feel even proud of it, and they're dignified, we see that the adoption rate will be a lot faster for CA and other development activities. Number 2, which is something we don't talk about very often, but it's very, very important and crucial and critical in our development work, is a donor or implementing partner, like Anglican Development Services for us here in Kenya, that is very understanding to the priorities of a farmer and community needs, and the sufficient time needed for sustainable impact of a program, and have the necessary flexibility to actively listen and adapt to the continuous changing needs of the community. I think a mistake we often do is we start a program, let me say a 3-year program or even a 2-year program, and we don't have the flexibility of changing because the program situation, the situational analysis of the area, or even the rainfall in a 1 year can be different to the others. The economic, the political changes, so we need to adapt to also those changes and what the community is telling us. And I believe that if we have that flexibility, we will be much more successful in adapting and also having impact in the program. So flexibility and adaptation, very important. And also, before we do that, we need to understand the local context much more and continuously. The other very important part that I mentioned in last conferences, and I put a lot of emphasis, is a participatory, integrated, and holistic community development approach. These are all big words, but they are very key. Participatory, where the community participates from the very beginning of a project, from the very beginning of a development process. Integrated is that we just don't do agriculture. We listen to the community and we hear from other aspects of development like nutrition and health and village savings, microcredit. We integrate it into something that is not silo work, that is really an integrated approach, a multi-thematic approach, if I may say that. And holistic, we all know that it has to be holistic, where faith comes in, where culture comes in, where spirituality comes in. Very important to listen to those and have that approach. So we engage all aspects of the person and life needs, the physical, economic, emotional, cultural, and spiritual. Not always easy. There's a lot of complexity here too, but it's important that we are aware that for us as World Renew, this is a very important factor. And the fourth and last one, which I just realized in the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, and is the passionate, committed, and skilled extension workers who spend frequent and quality time with farmers in the field. I think this is not always a given. I want to say this, that those communities where ADS staff are passionate and spend a lot of time with the farmers and the communities and the health workers and just being in the field more consistently, we see a lot more progress and faster adoption and impact. And in this program area, this is a program area up in Meru called Igembe. We actually did a very deliberate deliberate strategy, to make sure that instead of working with 2 communities per year, we're just working with 1 community, and we focus on that 1 community per year. Then we'll go to the next community in the second year, and the third one and the fourth one. We're adapting to having 2 communities per year to 1 community per year. So we offer more time to the community and more extension service time to the community. And we are seeing quite a bit of impact even as I speak right now. I was just there 2 months ago, and I was quite impressed about the progress that's been made in just 1 year in terms of adoption of conservation agriculture, where a lot of these farmers, a lot of these people in that 1 community have already adopted and already seen value in conservation agriculture, plus small animals, plus other development activities, and faster than I thought would happen. Now let me switch to another topic, and that is the CA Kenya Hub. The CA Kenya Hub has been in existence. This is a hub that we started about 10 years ago. It's been in existence since 2001. And CFGB members, the Canadian Food Grains Bank, including Orinu, were pioneers to forming this hub. And the whole purpose was for us to just come together. CA was a new thing, for us at least. And we said, let's just share information. Let's share what we're learning as we're introducing the CA. So that's the start of this hub. The CA hub currently, as I speak, has about 80 individual organizations, but around 50 to 20 members are consistently active and have signed an official agreement. So about 25% are active, but in the WhatsApp group we have about 80 individuals who are quite regularly posting information, posting conference links, posting training links, posting funding opportunities in CA, or any other technical issues. Like somebody will say, I have this issue with CA in Western Kenya. Can anybody help? So usually about 1 or 2 or 3 individuals who have some information that will write back. So it's a great platform to learn, grow, and be informed. Accomplishments of the CA Hub include trainings, linkages, exchange visits to the field, which we've done less now with COVID, which we did more at the beginning. Quarterly meetings have been going on virtually at the moment. Fundraising efforts and linking, networking with other organizations. Its sole purpose is to share, exchange information, and create opportunities to members for growth and impact on a large scale. So it is really about information exchange. And I take this back to my master's degree that I did on information exchange networking and the value of that, using actually ECHO as one of my case studies. And I've always been hopeful and dreaming of being part of a network and even facilitating one. And I'm currently the chair and leader of this network for the last 4 years. And it's been quite an experience, and that's why I wanted to share with you why network can be important, some of the challenges and some of the opportunities. It also is composed of nonprofit organizations, academic and research institutions, government entities, and private sector. So we have a wide diversity of people attending the meetings, but being part of this network. Also provide a platform for bringing awareness and advocating on the value of CA for smallholder farmers in Kenya, especially in those areas where rainfall is erratic. So this is great because we have a lot of work. A lot of the organizations who are part of the CA network working in the semi-arid areas, Assam, arid and semi-arid land areas in Kenya. And there's a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities. So it's great that we can all come together and share whether in the WhatsApp group or in your quarterly meetings and other venues. The value of the CA Hub provides a platform to engage any practitioner, academic, researcher, educator, business person to get to know more about CA and learn from others. A network like this with 80 members that has lasted for almost 10 years without any outside funding has credibility that can advocate for higher and faster CA adoption at county and national level in Kenya. We've had talks with county government officials, with the leaders of all counties of Kenya, for collaborating to see how we can bring CA into the county plans for agriculture. And also thinking about the research organizations doing more on CA, and the academic institutions on having curriculums that will bring in CA in their schools and universities, especially universities, agricultural universities in this country who do not have a CA curriculum at the moment. One of our greatest values is the fact that the most members deeply believe that working together is much more efficient than working alone. I think this is where it's so exciting to be part of a network, that you're not alone, that you're not struggling alone at times, because alone can be challenging. And we certainly all face issues, but we know that we can do this together, and working together and learning together sometimes is better. It's often better than working alone in isolation. So a network provides that avenue for doing that. Other key values such as openness and transparency, farmer focus, commitment, deep respect for all stakeholders, inclusivity and safety to talk and challenge each other, authenticity, ownership, and members' deep need to see the value of being part of this network, not just joining a club. This is not a club. A club you join, but you don't always interact, you don't always go, you don't always commit to it, but for a network, it is not as joining a club. It is really part of who you are and your deep identity, and you bring in your best as well. In other words, attitude of not a meeting I need to attend to, but rather a place I want to attend and learn and contribute for the well-being of many. A network always has to go beyond oneself for keeping the vision of the greater good, not the individual gain. And this is movement thinking and biblical as well. Key to our network and impact is more values-driven than technical and resource-driven. Again, I repeat, key to the impact of a network is values-driven than technical and resource-driven. We need to go back to values. We need to go back to what makes a network great. And it's not always money. It's not always the great, speakers and the high-profile things we think about. It is really just a group of people who want to work together and do good. So that is what I have for you all. I'm very grateful again for this opportunity, and I look forward to talking more in those open sessions that we have later. Thank you for listening, and all the best in whatever you do and wherever you are.